Get started here in just a moment. Okay, I think we should be good to go. Welcome to the session, everyone. This is our routine bi-weekly Large Language Models Bootcamp information session. My name is Raja Iqbal. I'm the Chief Data Scientist and one of the lead instructors at Data Science Dojo. And we're going to go over the the curriculum, the logistics, and the questions related to the large language model bootcamp and what the bootcamp is and what it is not, and who should attend, and really answer any questions that may happen during this session. Go ahead and get started. So I've been doing this for quite some time. I've been doing machine learning for quite some time. Call it AI, call it data science and machine learning. So I've been doing this for quite some time, both teaching and working as a practitioner in industry. Even now, the boot camp that you will see, the boot camp actually resulted from the fact that we have built a large language models platform that um, a variety of customers actually are using. They have built their customer support platform. They have built their internal tools across different verticals. I am one of, I would like to think that I'm one of the main architects of that platform that has been built, both from a AI perspective and also from a software engineering perspective. So the bootcamp, we have been a training company for quite some time. So we said, okay, yeah, I mean, we have built this thing and it is not trivial. So why not teach other people how to build something similar? So as a company, we have been around for one of the longest serving companies. I think many companies around the time in the previous wave of machine learning, when companies they started doing these boot camps, they came and they vanished, but we are still here, still strong, teaching people data science. Our data science boot camp is perhaps the longest running boot camp in industry. And now we have the first boot camp in the world for large language models. And I'm going to go over this. So this particular session is about our large language models bootcamp. Um, so a bit of context. We when we teach, we don't like just diving right into the technical details and theoretical details or programming details. I think it is important when this is our part of our teaching philosophy, and this is why, I mean, we have one of the highest rated boot camps in industry. What we try to do is we will give you enough theory, we'll give you enough programming, we'll give you enough math, and but at the same time, we'll also give you the business side of it. We'll also give you the actual challenges that you will see down the road when you're building these systems. And this is what differentiates us from any other company, because companies are either, they are training companies, or they're maybe consulting and product companies. But we are unique in this sense that we do both training and product building. And as a result, our insights are going to be not, hey, here is a slide deck, and I have never done it, but this is probably how it is done in theory, or maybe just pretending that I have done it. But actually, when we teach something, every single thing we have examples of what actually what it entails when you're building something like this. So when you're building an LLM application, it is fascinating that these large-scale machine learning systems and large-scale AI systems, there is very little AI in these. I mean, so hardcore, machine learning, 95% of that is still a lot of good problem-solving skills. Your ability to, uh, you know, your ability to architect better applications, problem solving, being able to rationalize whether you should go for open source or closed source, whether you should go for, in the case of LLMs, I mean, a bigger token limit or a smaller token limit, or which framework you should be choosing, and how do you build an agentic application and so on. So there are so many challenges. Your prompts are a bit brittle. Prompts are for different customers. You have or different scenarios. You have to have different prompts. Latencies can be a problem. You're building these applications, and in some cases, high latency may be okay. In another case, it may not be okay. Hallucination is a major challenge. Data governance is a challenge. You don't want to expose your PII accidentally. Technical debt. I mean, we actually are living this right now. You build these systems very quickly, big complex systems, and then you gather technical debt. You have glue code, your entanglement of, different services with each other. The costs can be actually painful. When you're managing the cost can go out of hand. ChatGPT seems to be free, but even if you have the pro version or one of the versions, that $20 per month version, right? So you may have that, but the real costs in enterprise, they are much higher than that. Then AI governance, right? So what if your model actually gives a wrong answer and you get potentially you can get sued, or your company gets sued? How do you scale an application? Building a RAG application, building an LLM application on a single page, or maybe 20 or 50 pages of PDF, easy enough, right? So no big deal. But how do you actually scale it to uh, 1,000 users uploading multiple files at a time, and then your infrastructure is able to handle it? I mean, so these are some real challenges. And sometimes it is fascinating, right? So we have a team of 30 engineers building that platform. And sometimes people say, "Hey, I mean, why do you have 30 engineers building this?" Because, man, it is tough. It is difficult to build these things, right? So we are not talking about and uh, some application that is only able to process a single PDF and just a simple naive RAG, as we call it, right? So we are talking about some very complex agentic workflows. So it takes a lot of effort, and there are regulatory challenges. Evaluations are hard. This is not your traditional machine learning where a transaction is either fraud or not a fraud, or a customer is going to churn or not going to churn. This is language, and in language, the same an answer where the words are chosen in a different order, the answers may be different. So how do you evaluate your large language model application? So we are going to actually talk about all of that. So our bootcamp actually covers. It is one of the most comprehensive courses out there. We are not actually leaving any stone unturned here. Basically, we'll start with the general appreciation and understanding of the overall architecture, the bigger picture. We'll talk about embeddings and transformers and attention mechanism. Luis Serrano, he is actually the one who teaches this session. Some of you may know him already. And then we have practical exercises, right? So, at this point, sometimes people have this question. I don't know machine learning. I've never done machine learning. Is this really? I mean, can I jump into LLMs without knowing that classic regression, logistic regression, and uh, um, random forest and decision trees? Yes, absolutely, right? So we don't assume any background. So you can come in and hit the ground running. We set the foundation, give you enough intuition for the math and the algebra behind, the QKB matrices and all of that, and what are embeddings, how are they different from your lexical encoding, lexical embeddings, how are semantic embeddings different? Then practical exercises, vector databases. We have a very, very comprehensive session on vector databases. We talk about Sebastian. Most of the time, Sebastian is our instructor. Sebastian from BB8, one of the leading vector databases in industry, AI first, AI native vector database. And once again, we talk about the entire thing. We assume no background in vector databases. prior. It's about 4 to 5 hours. We take about good 4 or 5 hours on just vector databases. So we start with the very foundations. Why do you need a vector database? How are they different from your classic vector databases? Your SQL, NoSQL databases, and then we go talk about different aspects. How to build an index, what kind of searches are possible. I mean, we talk about lexical search, we talk about semantic search, we talk about hybrid search, we talk about filtering and faceting in vector databases. We talk about HNSW and all of that, right? So we talk about all of these in a lot of detail. We have about 8 hours of LangChain out of it is a 40-hour boot camp. So we have almost close to 8 hour allocated to LangChain and agentic workflows. So we start with how do you hook up your application to different kind of data stores? How do you chunk? How do you augment the chunks? Can you do semantic chunking? I mean, is it a fixed length chunking or and so on? We get into the details of agentic workflows. How can multiple agents and multiple tools interact with each other? And then we have practical exercises. I will show you all of this in just a bit. So I will show you how the labs look like for us. Then we are going to, just a moment. And then we also talk about observability and monitoring. So just building something is not enough at scale in an enterprise. You have to have your observability and monitoring and logging and traces, all of those enabled. We will actually show you how to build observability layer on top of your LLM application. We talk about guardrails in quite a bit of detail. You can have topical guardrails, you can have groundedness or hallucination guardrails, you can have any kind of inappropriateness or toxicity type guardrails. So we talk about the potential guardrails that are possible, and we go through all of those exercises. Prompt engineering is something that we touch upon. Really, is everything where in most of these exercises, prompt engineering would come in play. But we do talk about it. Evaluation, we spend quite a bit of time on evaluation. I will show all of these, or maybe some of these with practical exercises in a bit. Deployment and ops, we talk about how to deploy a model that you fine-tune yourself. We talk about fine-tuning as well. During the bootcamp, we show how do you fine-tune Llama 2 7 billion parameter model, a 4-bit quantized model, and let me give you the details in a bit, and I will show you all of this, how it is all set up, and maybe some code samples as well. But most importantly, what I enjoy the most, I am one of the instructors along with other instructors. I think for the next boot camp we have Sage will be teaching it. We definitely have Sebastian, we have Luis, and let me see, we have John from Rise. So we have a bunch of different instructors who are confirmed. And then, of course, depending upon the availability, we may have more instructors. But I teach about 30% of the bootcamp myself. And what I enjoy the most is really the bigger picture, right? So because as an engineer, you can be a good engineer if you can implement things. You're a great engineer if you can put things in perspective, right? So our aspiration is that whether you're a technical product manager, whether you're a founder, whether you're an engineer, we give you the right perspective, not just on the technical side of things, but also the business side of it, and also give you an understanding and appreciation of the trade-offs. How do you find a trade-off between perhaps latency and cost and accuracy of your model? How do you find a trade-off between speed of deployment versus maybe the correctness of the deployment? How do you find the trade-off between open source versus closed source? How do you find the trade-off between fine-tuning a model versus deploying your own RAG application? So we talk about the challenges, both organizational challenges, the skill challenges, and scaling challenges, and some challenges that are very specific to large language models, chunk sizes, retrieval challenges, query filtering, query alteration challenge, query rewriting challenges, guardrail challenges. So we talk about all of them with real war stories because we have built systems that people have adopted, and they have not people, but actually enterprises have adopted with um, thousands of internal users. In some cases, hundreds of enterprises are actually using the systems that we have built. And then we will also talk about, a lot of product management and other issues. Okay. And feel free to ask any questions that you may have. You can ask if you have joined the Zoom call. Please go ahead and ask the question in the Q&A tab. And if you are online, whichever channel, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you are, just ask the question, and we are going to actually or I can answer any questions that you may have. So, well, this is an so the way we are doing this is we have a parallel offering. We have the same bootcamp is happening in Seattle in person. So if you can fly to Seattle, this is a nice time. Weather is going to be great in early April. So our next bootcamp is happening starting 7th April, 5-day bootcamp. If you are in person, great. But you could also be remote wherever you are located. We have people attending from as far as Australia. People have attended it remotely. The people in Middle East, Saudi Arabia, UAE. We have had people from India, and we have had people from UK and France. Both traveling to us in Seattle and then attending it remotely. And we have a classroom set up where remote attendees are as involved as the in-person attendees. They can see everyone, everyone can see them. And in some of the boot camps, we have had online attendees that were far more active than actually in-person attendees. So we have figured it out that the processes are streamlined. The online exercises, everything is fairly streamlined. So, and I will show you how we have streamlined the process. And then we have a comprehensive project during the bootcamp. So you leave with a working LLM application. Of course, not an enterprise grade application. I would be actually deceiving myself and all of you if I said that you can build an enterprise application just during a training. Enterprise applications take years to actually mature. But we will actually set you on a course or a trajectory where you will be able to build those applications over the months to come. Uh, Let me try to explain. This is a fairly detailed illustration of what an application might entail when you're building it. So at the core of an LLM application is, well, an LLM, right? So you're what we call um, not quite the foundation model. They are a level above the foundation model, but let's call it the foundation model. You can go to OpenAI, and you can go to Anthropic if you are a big fan of Zuckerberg. I mean, you can get a Meta model. You can get it from anyone, right? So you can go to Hugging Face. So you decide whether you are using a hosted model, or you are going to or you're going to um, deploy a model on-prem. So there are different options. Then The other thing, if you're building a RAG application, and a RAG is retrieval augmented generation, you're basically taking a large language model and combining it with your traditional classic search, or maybe some semantic search as well. And then you blend them to overcome that limitation of having to that in case the model does not have context of your own enterprise data. So a vector database is going to be at the core of it, and we cover these topics very extensively. Then there is an embedding model that has to be there. You ingest your data, you break it down, you chunk it, and you put it in a vector database. So there we go through all of this in quite a lot of detail. Then there is this I mean, for the lack of a better word, is it orchestration? I mean, some people would say it is not orchestration, call it LLM application framework, right? So just like we have web application frameworks, this is call it LLM application framework. So there are actually a lot of different possibilities. We focus heavily on LangChain, but once you understand the concepts of like chunking and retrieval and re-ranking, or concept of memory, or concept of chains, or concept of agents and tools in one framework, it is almost, so I know how to do this in LangChain. I can go and figure out in Llama Index, or semantic kernel, or any other framework that may be out there. So we spend a lot of time on this as well. LangChain is crucial, whether you attend this bootcamp or not, but learning, just like for web development, you may have to learn the Node.js stack, or you may want to learn Django stack, or, so basically, um, LangChain is an equivalent and LangChain and Llama Index are equivalents of that web application framework in the context of large language model application. And we do a very extensive treatment of LangChain here. Then you sometimes, in some cases, you may want to have a semantic cache, basically cache your results so you don't have to generate tokens again and again. Logging and LLM ops is once again another important area. Putting guardrails. What if you are working in a proprietary or regulatory some domain where there are regulatory requirements? How do you make sure that your LLM is um, not churning out or cranking out information that can potentially get you in trouble? For instance, some of you may or may not know, Air Canada actually got in trouble because their chatbot actually gave wrong information to the customer, and then the matter went to court, and then the court ruled in favor of the customer. So we talk about all of those interesting anecdotes in a relevant manner, and while teaching you the theory and also the practice of pretty much really whatever you need to build an LLM application. So I will actually keep going here. Let me see, what do we have? Yeah, our technology stack, we actually use primarily we rely on OpenAI, but we do get into Llama models as well for LLMs models, or large language models. For vector databases, we primarily use VV8 because we have to stick to one framework. We don't want to hop between, let's do this exercise in this vector database, and let's do that other one in another one. But we have exercises for others. We give you resources for others as well, but we will give you a comprehensive treatment of everything in one technology. And then after that, you can actually go and learn in other, on other frameworks if you prefer. So let's go and look at, yeah, prerequisites. One of the questions is, uh, um, what do you need here? If you can read Python code, and if you have interest in general in data and data's, that space, data and analytics, and you have a use case in mind, I am very, very confident that this is going to you can actually finish this boot camp successfully. So this should not be a problem at all. Let's go and dive into the curriculum, right? So let me show you here. So this is our learning platform. Once you sign up for the course, you get access to this Large Language Models Bootcamp. You can see this is the Large Language Models Bootcamp. And these are all the modules that we cover over 5 days, 40 hours, quite intense actually. As some people have pointed out about our boot camps, the data science bootcamp and the large language models boot camp, it was brutal, but in a good way, right? So, I mean, it is a boot camp, like a military boot camp. I mean, we will make sure that you don't get any rest. So we are going to push you to your limits, but we have seen tremendous success in this approach to learning because when we do it in a fragmented manner, there are some amazing courses out there, right? So, and many of the people who teach here at Data Science Dojo, they've also done courses at, for instance, Deep Learning AI or Coursera and those kind of places. So the same people, Sebastian, for instance, I think he has a course on deep learning AI. John has a course on deep learning. So basically, these are the same people. You get to interact with them in face-to-face instead of self-paced setting. And in addition to that, you're not getting things in a in isolated in a fragmented manner. You're not being taught, hey, here are transformers. Okay, what do I do with them? I will learn a month later, and by that time I forgot where I started, right? So and also the entire we run it like a story, right? So it's a very scripted. And sometimes, I mean, when someone asks me, I mean, hey, how was the boot camp? I say, I mean, it is like a stand-up comedy routine, right? So you know exactly where the punchline is, where do you say something, how to actually make sure that you have get the maximum impact, right? So we have very carefully curated this curriculum. After hundreds of people who've attended this, we know in what sequence we introduce the concept. So we start with, for instance, in this case, we start with this idea, introduction to large language models. We give a very high level breadth type overview. And then this happens on the first day in the first 3 hours. The next three-ish hours, we get into transformer architecture and attention mechanism. Let me actually see if I can bring up some of the content so you can see. So as I said, Luis is our man for this course. Luis teaches this course. And let me see if I can bring a few things up. So you will see a very consistent pattern here, right? So you have theory, practical exercises, and additional resources, and maybe a quiz here and there. So if you look at this, we start with the very, very foundations. We talk about, very basic, what is discriminative AI, what is generative machine learning or AI. We start with transformers. And then as we make progress, you can see, for those of you who have seen this paper, I mean, this is that attention, that popular paper, and we slowly, gradually build the momentum. We slowly, gradually introduce all the concepts, all the way to, giving example. Well, how do you establish similarity, and how the context works, and all of that. So we keep going slowly, step by step. So once you are set up, a bit of introduction to fundamentals of prompt engineering. Then we get into the business of vector databases. Let me actually give you an idea how we do it. So, and of course, I cannot go through every single module in the curriculum. It will take me like 3 hours to actually just show you, even if I talked about this at a high level. But look at this here. So we have all the guides and everything set up here. And when I go here, introduction to vector databases. So I will start with here. Well, what is a vector database? What does a SQL query look like? What does a vector database query look like? And then slowly, very slowly, we build the momentum and we talk about we keep talking about this, what is a vector search? What is a keyword search? What is a hybrid search? Can I get the best of both worlds? I mean, the lexical search and semantic search, yes, you can, right? So that is what we call hybrid search. Can I best get the both best of three worlds? I mean, can I also include the traditional classic SQL? Yes, I can, right? So we talk about all of this. We talk about all and how all of this is done in a vector database. We talk about HNSW, which is probably the default standard for the most commonly known indexing approach, and that's how you build it. And now, if you look at this, we don't cut corners here, right? So we explain exactly how HNSW is built. You can see that step by step we are explaining it. And then there's layered proximity graphs. I mean, how does search happen? How do you build the index and all of that? I know there are some questions. I apologize. I will take some questions in just a moment once I've gone through this. And then we explain. You can almost see how you find an embedding. So once you have a piece of text and some chunks that you have in the vector database, you can almost visualize how you find an embedding in a vector database. And then we talk about all of this, and I can keep going. I cannot show, I don't want to show you and bore you with the entire slide deck. But now the next step is you spent 2.5 hours learning the theory. Is that it? No. We are going to actually show you exercises on how to do vector search, how to do similarity search, how do you do a hybrid search, right? So let me click on this. And now, once again, right, so this curriculum might take us, I'm sorry, no, wrong lab here. Let me click on this. So if it may take you, instead of 40 hours, it will take you 80 hours if we did not have this set up. These are the same Jupyter notebooks, more than welcome to download and run it locally. But the reason we run it online is, hey, my IT does not allow me to install this package. Hey, how do I do this? And I have this dependency. My Mac does not run this. So what we have taken care of all of that. We handle those things. We give you OpenAI API keys. You don't have to pay for them during the bootcamp, of course. We give you the URL for the vector database. And we ask you to, hey, let's go and focus on what matters. Learn this, right? So, and you can worry about which vector database later. You can get your own API key later on. But let's focus, hyper focus on how do you create a collection? How do you import data into a collection, right? So, and then how do you perform a search? And how do you find an object? How do you find a vector? Then, for instance, in this case, let's see. This is another example. If you look at this here, you plug in your URL for the vector database, the API key. The which vector which model you're using for vectorization, and you keep going. And if you look at this, in this case, I'm creating a collection, importing the data, and then I'm doing this generative search. I'm basically, and by then you already know a bit of prompt engineering and prompt templating. So this is basically, I'm retrieving some embeddings, and I'm generating uh, the results are generating some text. This is an example that I'm saying, that search for something and turn this into a Facebook ad. Like, very simple exercise, but call it poor person's rag. This is the very first, your first introduction to retrieval augmented generation. You're retrieving some keywords associated, in this case, elephants. I mean, you retrieve all the chunks, or all the concepts associated with elephants. When you come back, you generate an ad that is based on this, right? So you see, turn the following Jeopardy question into a Facebook ad, and we explain all of this. We don't, once again, I mean, this is not run, run, run. You've already know the theory. We explain all of this to you, and then you see that we have the results. And then there are more exercises. I mean, what if you have too many vectors? Well, you compress the vectors by a multi-tenancy and semantic caching. Once that is done, I think it should be now good enough to give everyone a sense that how we approach this. Then we take a very similar approach to LangChain. When I go to LangChain, in LangChain, once again, it is a very, very comprehensive introduction to LangChain. We talk about a lot of different things. How do you create templates for your prompts? How do you interact with different types of models? How do you select different types of examples? Retrieval. How do you do chunking? How do you connect it to different data sources? A web page, a Dropbox, a SharePoint. How do you do that? Then you have chains. How do you create chains? I hope I have my API key here. Maybe I can launch one of the notebooks and show you perhaps this one. Let me see. Yeah, this one would be good. We have this exercise. You see if this is here. Yeah, I mean, so if you look at this and now, so in this case, if you can read Python code, you don't have to be a Python expert, right? So if you look at this, we'll give you the API key. You're going to plug that in here. And if you look at this, you are actually able to understand. And by now, we have already, since this comes in like as a third or fourth module in LangChain, so you already know what is going on. I'm using a GPT 3.5 Turbo, I'm using at this temperature and so on. So basically, we have a lot of things going on, and we are showing you how to create these prompt templates and how do you get these outputs. I'm getting an error because I think my key is expired. Someone reset my key, but you get the idea. Uh, we will talk about things in a lot of detail. Then, there is agents. There is a lot of buzz, hype around agents. You will demystify this buzz around agents. What are agents? What is How do you manage the state and all of that? And then I can keep going. I will come back to questions now. We talk about challenges in building RAG applications. Then we talk about observability and guardrails, fine tuning for when we do fine tuning. Fine tuning, we give you first we go through, maybe I can drill down on this module. When we go into fine tuning, we talk about, well, what is fine tuning? What is transfer learning? How is it different from knowledge distillation? Then, you know, um, which parameters change, which layers are frozen when you're doing fine tuning. Then we talk about some of the challenges, what could go wrong. We talk about catastrophic forgetting, data replay. We talk about quantization. We talk about low rank adaptation, some of the somewhat mathy part of fine tuning. And then once we have talked about this, about hour and a half to conceptually understand it, then we give you everyone gets their own GPUs cluster in a cloud setting. So once again, included in your registration, you don't have to pay, and we give you those, and then you we give you the code and you download the model, a Llama 2 model, a Llama 2 7 billion parameter 4-bit quantized model. You go and run this code and you fine tune the model and you run some queries and see how is the fine tuned model? Is it better than the original model or is it worse than than that model? Evaluation is also an incredibly important module because maybe I can zoom in a bit. So when we are talking about in evaluation, we get into a lot of detail. If you look at this, maybe I can flash some slides here. I like this module as a practitioner. I like this module. I mean, I a lot of these slides actually. I built these myself. I created these slides, and the reason is, I think that I've been teaching machine learning, doing machine learning for a long time. Sometimes the problem is that we build things without worrying about why are we building these things, right? So an evaluation actually keeps us grounded. Evaluation keeps us humble, right? So if anyone in the audience has built classic machine learning models, well, I can build a model that looks awesome on my training data and maybe awesome on my test data. But unless I go and evaluate, do some sort of cross validation or maybe some kind of bootstrap sample testing on it, I don't have a good sense of how good my model is. Um, Similarly, we talk about how to set up your evals, as we call it in LLMs. So we talk about, why evaluation is challenging. Then we talk about what are the common mistakes, how is it different from conventional machine learning. We talk about some of the tasks. Evaluation is not the same for all tasks in LLMs because you can be understanding the language, you can maybe generating text, you may be in the business of knowledge retrieval, you may be doing your model, your application may be more of a reasoning and logic application. Now you can already see that there's so many different areas where you can evaluate a model, and we talk about all of that. If you look at this, we talk about what data sets are available. So we go and look at what data sets are available, what is the strength and weakness of each of the data set. We keep going, and and then we talk about what are some benchmarks. We start with some of the classic. We start with some of the classic metrics like Blue and Rouge score and Bird score, but really just to set you up so you can appreciate something, somewhat of a modern framework or somewhat of a more relevant to an LLM application framework, which is RAGAS. So we talk about, and RAGAS actually evaluates everything in the context of a RAG pipeline. So how good is your retrieval and how good is your generation? So as you can see, I think I can claim a little bit, right? So I mean that here you will find this course to be created by practitioners. I mean, this is not a YouTube tutorial from here, a conference talk from there, a paper from there, and then putting things together. This is the distillation of what we think matters as opposed to what the industry, other people who are doing tutorials here and there, right? So it is, as I said, I mean, it is one of the most comprehensive, if not the most comprehensive course out there. And then we have labs for evaluation. You can see we have evaluation for with using Ragus, Rouge, Blue, Meteor. When GVal is when one LLM actually evaluate. It's like peer review type evaluation, and then evaluation using BERT score, right? So if I click on it, once again, we do one exercise usually for this one, Ragus one, maybe two. And then we leave the rest on you, right? So, and then if you look at this, this is the same drill. We are showing you how do you evaluate. If you want to see how to evaluate using Ragus, Ragus has, this is an open source, fairly popular package. But they are adding more and more evaluation metrics, and we will discuss many of them, right? So by now you already know how to set up a vector store, creating prompt template, setting a RAG chain, extracting questions and ground truth, generating a data set. We do all of this step by step. 1, 2, 3, okay, what is this? Hey, Raja, can you stop? I mean, what happened here? I don't get it. And what library is this? And I'm very confident by the end of this. I think for anyone who's committed and motivated enough, I think by the end of the boot camp, I'm very confident that you are on your path to actually start to learn. Then we have a project. We give you once again we give you some remote desktops because not everyone is a web developer, but we turn everyone into a web developer. We give you the remote access where a project is set up, the code is set up in a editor. So we have taken care of all the dependencies. Everyone gets their own resource. And we walk you through how do you actually go through deployment of a web application. So even if you have never done coding, I'm very confident that you can finish it. So the way we have done this is sometimes people say, hey, I'm a product manager. I'm not really a coder. You will be fine, right? So as long as you're committed, you will be fine. But what if I'm a coder? I mean, I want to build big things and all of that. So it is the same application. If you want to use as is to understand, wrap your head around how do you build a product, great. But if you want to extend it, it is you, once again, it is your own undertaking. We cannot really, change the world in 40 hours, right? So, but we can definitely enable you so you can go and change the world, right? So that's the philosophy. I mean, the boot camp is about enabling you, empowering you. We don't make any tall claims ever. We have been 10 years in industry. We have never told anyone that you will become a data scientist because that's your own undertaking, even though many people, thousands of people, they have attended the boot camp and they have done, great things once they went back to industry. I think that should be it. Let me pause here to look at some questions. And so I think there was a question that I saw somewhere. Is it possible to join in as a startup team? I'm not sure what that means. Please feel free to please. Feel free to reach out to us, book an advisor call, and we will help you with that. Are you probably talking about group discount? Yes, we do have group discounts. That should not be a problem at all. Then, and would you recommend this to someone who does not have a background in coding? I think our approach is slightly differently. It is not about whether you have a background in coding or not. I would recommend it to anyone who wants to understand the LLM ecosystem. So if you want to understand the entire complete picture, this is the place. I don't think coding will be a barrier, even if you have, talk to us, but even if you know minimal coding, if you can read Python code, which is slightly more complicated than English, reading English language, and now thanks to the tools like ChatGPT, you can generate code. I think coding is not even a barrier to entry in anything anymore. And we give you the architectural understanding. So I think that would be the case. And I think there was another question around cost. I think Henry, you asked this question. So the fun thing is that a lot of these a lot of these a lot of employers actually we are since we have a partnership with the University of New Mexico. I think there was a slide somewhere. I did not present that. I think I went through the curriculum. Let me quickly go through this. So we have a partnership with the University of New Mexico, and as a result of that, um, many employers they actually will completely reimburse. Many employers they say if you attend a course that is offered by a university, if you're taking a certification or bootcamp type course from a university, so far I know for sure, I think the two names that I know, we had two people one from Boeing, one from Apple. Their benefits actually covered that. Like just like you have health insurance, I mean, every company has some L&D budget. And this is not something outside of that. Sometimes people confuse, hey, my manager, I think our team does not have a budget, but many companies, they have 5 to 10 grand budget within the company. And we are very well within that. The cost right now, the discounts are variable. The cost right now for the week-long boot camp, including, everything, all the infrastructure, the learning platform, and the GPUs and OpenAI keys, et cetera, it is $4,000 at the moment. And then the prices change based on demand and how close we are, how many seats have been filled, and so on. Let me see. And I think these are some of the companies that we know that actually accept our tuition benefits, right? So if you work, and there are definitely more, but these are the confirmed ones that we have found out. Um, Feel free to reach out to us. If you're not sure, just reach out to us and we'll guide you how to go through the process. But you don't have to For a lot of employers in the US, you just have to go, and as long as your manager allows you to take the training, this is taken care of by your HR and benefits. You don't have to, the money does not have to come from your training budget. This is the list of people who have been involved at different time points in time. But for the next boot camp, I'm expecting, of course, myself. I will be there. Luis will be there, confirmed. Uh, Adam is pending confirmation, but he will be joining. John is confirmed. Sebastian is confirmed, and Sage is confirmed, and Sophie is pending confirmation. Right. So we have different people who are actually teaching. Um, and we have a big partnership ecosystem. We have some of the leading names in industry. They are our partners in delivering this boot camp. They help us by either offering us, instructor support, technology support, maybe giving us credits, and so on. For instance, RunPod is they give us credits for the GPUs. VV8 actually gives us the vector database, and also, I mean, they teach Arise similarly. We have John Gulhilly. He comes and teaches. So we have a mix of different kind of relationships. But once again, the idea is that this is a course that has been created and curated by thought leaders in industry, and people who have been building these products. This is not just just someone decided to just teach. Um, and we have more than 3,000 companies on our portfolio, actually. So maybe even 3,500. I don't know why. We have lost count. Any major company, any major institution globally, someone from that institution has actually attended our training. I mean, we have a global footprint. Learn from our partners. We look at our alumni. We have people coming in from top companies. People, as I said, many, many, many companies, people have attended. Just go and check it out, our website, and reach out to us if you have any questions. So the next boot camp is happening April 7th to 11th, 5 day, 9 to 5, in Seattle. But the same boot camp, some people will decide to attend remotely, and we are happy to get you registered either in person. You're more than welcome to come to Seattle. I think after March, Seattle becomes a wonderful place to be, actually. So wouldn't hurt to visit Seattle. But if you cannot, because of your budget or because of any family commitments or travel too far away. I have to take care of my dog. Actual real reason, right? So my dog needs me. So whatever the reason may be, online works equally well. So just reach out to us, and happy to answer any more questions that you may have. Thank you everyone for joining. Are there any other questions? Okay. If that is the case, I see some familiar names in the attendance and on the Zoom attendance. So yeah, great to see you guys. But if that is the case, I will end the session. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Please feel free to reach out to us. We are happy to help. We are here to help. One more thing is our sales calls are really not sales calls. Whatever we do, this is also a passion of ours. We don't hound you, we don't chase you. Just come in. If you We'll tell you if this, we have told people that, hey, this boot camp is not for you, or this is for you. So we'll actually help you make a decision, and perhaps, if it helps, it helps. If it doesn't help, then we'll clearly let you know that this boot camp is not for you. Okay. In that case, I think that I don't see any other questions. Thank you so much, everyone, and looking forward to seeing some of you at the bootcamp.